Hello and welcome to part 2 of my thoughts on Doctor Who Season 25, the collection box set, special edition episodes. Today we're looking at the Happiness Patrol, which I touched on lightly in the previous video, where I mentioned that this was actually the one that I went to see at the BFI in London, South Bank. However, I went to the first screening and we'd sat down and it started to play, and my friend who was sat next to me, Connor, he said that the titles sequence didn't look as clean as they should, and that's then shortly after it was paused and they'd told us that they'd actually not been sent the special edition. So I imagine a lot of people were a little bit frustrated. I mean, I was a little bit, but it didn't detract from the experience at all. It'd been a little while since I'd sat and watched the Happiness Patrol, so I thoroughly enjoyed that experience, being in the presence of all the other fans, Sylvester McCoy, Sophie Aldred, Sheila Hancock even turned up, which was very, very nice, and a plethora of other icons. I managed to speak to Stephen Mansfield, who was the artist behind Fifi. We had a good look at Fifi, the prop, which inspired us to remodel our little miniature version to look much more like the puppet, and also helped with the paint. But we are not here to talk about things like that. We're actually talking about the special edition today. So without further ado, let's dive into the special edition of the Happiness Patrol. So strangely, the Happiness Patrol is the story that I was most anticipating from the 4 in the season. I say strangely because it's not really a fan favourite. However, in the trailer they showed that they'd put some extensive work into the special edition, and to summarise the story, the special edition story as a whole, I think it's the most successful of the 4. It's near perfect, I think. So I'll just comment on little things here and there that I really, really liked. There's nothing I disliked, yeah, which might come as a surprise. I think the Happiness Patrol is a very, very good story, well executed, and the special edition allows them to achieve what they probably had on paper initially in the script. So the extension to the world that's on screen is brilliant. They've CGI'd an extension of the world, so a bit like they did in Star Wars, where they had the like the painted backdrops around the actual set framework. They've kind of done that here, and we've got moving cameras which all work seamlessly. It looks beautiful, and there's just little enhancements here and there throughout the story that just really makes it feel complete. I'm not 100% sure which scenes were extended and which weren't, because I'm not a massive buff with the like just pinpointing what's original broadcast and what's special edition, but there are some really, really nice extended scenes in there, and they work well. Nothing that's been changed discredits it at all. A bit like with Remembrance of the Daleks, I think a lot of the cuts they made in places, chops and changes to scenes, like I said, detracted it. It didn't add to it. It actually made it seem a bit worse. And on that subject, one thing I did forget to mention, and that was the bit right at the end when the Black Supreme Dalek self-destructs and spins around. The effects on that were awful. The original was questionable, but it makes the original look brilliant. The CGI Dalek they used didn't look anything like the prop, and the effect just... anyway, we're done with that one. We're in Happiness Patrol, but where we're definitely a lot more positive. And another thing that I really liked about this one was the inclusion of the liquid candy flashing through the I guess the tunnels, the piping. That was really well done, and that really enhanced the Candyman's death in the story. I don't want to spoil things too much, but it was definitely complementary to the story. And like I say, there's not actually much I can touch upon in this, because there's nothing I dislike about it. I think it's always been a really strong story, and I've never understood why people didn't like it. It's fun. The comedy lands, and the acting is on point. Yeah, for me it's pretty much a 9.5, 10 out of 10 story. Just like the same way that Remembrance of the Daleks, the original broadcast, is a solid 10 out of 10. And I feel like the special edition brings it down to like a 9 or 8.5, even though some of the effects did enhance certain scenes. But yeah, there's not really much more I can say on this. This one's going to be quite a short My Thoughts video, but there's quite a lot to touch upon in Silver Nemesis. So if you want something to get your teeth into, go over to the next video. I'll see you there. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Highly recommend checking out the Happiness Patrol Special Edition. Definitely better than the original broadcast. Looks glorious, and I'm very thankful of the work that's gone into it. I also want to say a massive thanks to Pete McTighe, who very kindly sent me this box set, who I had the pleasure of meeting at the BFI for the first time. Really lovely to see him. If he does see this, hello and thank you so much. But yeah, I'll see you in part 3, Silver Nemesis, which I've got a lot to talk about. So see you then.